share with us? Any insider news that you can share with us?
I always don't agree when you buy and you wait for things to happen. You don't buy and wait for hoping that 6 years down the road HSR will happen. What if it doesn't happen yet, or based on that deadline? Because that deadline can move. Although we know that whatever we invest, it takes 3 to 4 years for it to be constructed, to be completed. So you will know that at a certain year of time when you invest in, for example, when the economy is so bad, price is really a good catch. You go in, you acquire, it takes 3-4 years for the project to be completed. Then only you take key. So you buy at low price. Then when 3-4 years down the road, when it stabilizes a little bit, I don't say it's a steep growth, but you are on the safer side. So my point is that regardless Medini or Iskandar generally, whoever that intends to invest, hoping and thinking that HSR or MRT, all that will happen, let me tell you one thing, no developer is stupid. The developers will have costed in all these potential good points in their pricing already. It's not free anyway. Now let's say if we, for Andaman, we were to study, we were to analyze, for example, the topic today like Medini, for example. If we were to go into Medini, let's say now Medini 2 bedrooms, 600-700 square feet . What's the average price per square foot that that is being sold there?
No, Medini.
700 ringgit per square foot. I think a good one will be the new one. You mean the old one is higher? Yeah, 2 bedroom 700 square feet. Some go at 1,001, some 1,000, some 900, some 800 . Alright, maybe currently some have to sell at 700, maybe. If I'm an investor, come developer, we go in, we will do way below 600 per square foot. If you think Medini is so great with all the incentives, then you must make it very powerful product that it is financially viable for the investors, be it from local or abroad, to go in to invest. So I know Medini are doing lots of things, trying to attract end user, occupants, tenants, office tenants, etc. So they are not looking for developers already. They're looking for people to come and occupy, take up one block, half block, 100,000 square feet, 60,000 square feet, etc. all there. They're looking for occupants. Alright? Let me tell you something very unique. The tenants that goes in and what you see in Medini now, although some of them that we see that is great companies, beautiful, great, fantastic renovations, reputable companies, the rental is almost subsidized. Extremely heavily subsidized. I stress a little bit louder on this. But it's an effort by Medini Iskandar to bring in really the capitalists to come and occupy Medini. So that's good effort. But much more things need to be done. Because there are so many developers that are going to complete the product in the next 1 year, 2 year, and 3 years in Medini itself. And if investors, which I think not many Johorian bought, but maybe a lot of outstation or Singaporean bought at 900 ringgit per square foot and above, I only have one word: God bless you. I really be tahan and feel sad for you if you have to hold your property 5 years without rental. Okay, so HSR, whatever you talk, what you want to do, you go ahead and do. You tell 2026, is it 2026? My heart, 2036. I don't care a damn whether HSR happen or not. But without HSR, and if the product and the positioning is in right location with the right package, right for the local and foreigner, I think okay lah. That's more realistic. I totally hate the word HSR and MRT because we are all shocked and really every day talking about it only. Because you still feel there's a light out at the end of the tunnel. One light, it may not even happen at all. Sign 20 times also useless. MOU 6 times also useless. Shake hands 12 times also useless. What for? I never even see anything start construction also. All bullshit to me until it really completed a handover, because this is a moving target in my personal point of view. Alright, so forget about HSR, forget about that. The more you read in the news, the more I want to slap the person who write it. Not the one who wrote everything in 2008. Okay?
Did you write anything on that?
Okay, just joking about the spending because my good friend, Khalil is really, really good friend. So
I completely agree with him, because I have friends who are staying at One Medini and like they say, my God, it's a ghost town. Like, hey, no neighbors, cannot rent out the unit. How? Cannot. But it's true. This is the situation that they are facing. And number two, about the HSR MRT moving target. Forgive this Singaporean so naive, because like every time a Malaysian friend come and talk to me, say, "Alamak, Khalil, you always believe whenever our government say." Because in Singapore, when our government say everything, I believe Singaporean. So I take that into Malaysia. Then my Malaysian friends tell me like, "You're so gullible you believe everything." So I would take it from a Malaysian perspective. So maybe it's a moving target. Yeah, I'm sure it's a moving target. So like what my good friend Chris Chan said is wawasan 20 something, 2020 something. So
Wow. But despite what has been said, I'm sure there are still those of you who still want to go in and buy, because there are three kinds of investor. Those high risk, high return, they will go in with nothing, right? So they are the one that go in the middle. There are some that when it's developed, they see there's zero risk, they go in. So I'm sure there are those early bird who really want to take risk. So now then, loan is an issue, right? Because let's look at the Iskandar overall in Johor. I think 2 years ago, Maybank issued that statement, right? That they will stop lending to any property project in Iskandar. And Medini has another additional challenge, because it is leased, right? So you're not buying the property, so you cannot charge the property to the bank for loan. So from a ex-banker and a finance person perspective, Gary, how do you look at this right now? Because I know you keep very close touch with all the bankers. So what is the bank's view now?
Okay. First of all, I wanted to address the questions about whether is it Iskandar and Medini, whether bank has different kind of policy when it comes to Medini, especially with the special condition of lease rights. But I've checked with most of the banks, there is actually no difference between Iskandar, Malaysia and Medini, except for one or two banks that they might be more cautious in terms of Medini with the lease right, because at the end of the day, lease right is 99 years or 129 years. It's quite similar to any leasehold 99 years in any part of Malaysia. So coming back to whether the bank wanted to lend a loan to people buying Iskandar Malaysia, I think the one typical issues that everyone have to acknowledge is not about rumors, it's not about people spreading news about the bank are not lending. It is true that the bank has been tightening their belts, and it's not only happening in Iskandar, even though Iskandar Malaysia is even tighter. In Malaysia itself, we are also experiencing a lot tighter rules by the banks. This can be reflected fully on the approval rate that we are experiencing. Last year, we used to have, if 10 people will go to the bank, 5 of them or 6 of them will be approved by the bank. But now it's the other way around. 5 or 6 of you who go to the bank today is being denied by the bank. The approval rate has dropped to be hovering at about 40% only in Malaysia nationwide. If you focus and zoom into Iskandar Malaysia per se, it is even worse. It's below 40%. Reason being is, I think we need to understand also how the bank works. You see, it's not that the bank really sees Iskandar Malaysia as a overheated location where, yes, that might be part of the reason. It's not really that they don't really, they have a very pessimistic view on Iskandar Malaysia. It's more so on also the bank always have a balanced approach in all the things that they do. For example, like when they lend out to people, right, they need to have a balanced approach in terms of the demographic criteria of certain customers. They also have a balanced approach on geographical area. Iskandar Malaysia has been developing crazy in the last couple of years. So, and the loans coming from Iskandar Malaysia has really made the bank balance sheet be lopsided with a lot of sales coming from Iskandar Malaysia. And when there's a lot of financing or sales to the bank coming from Iskandar Malaysia, this may potentially imbalance two things. Number one is a foreigner taking financing from the bank. Anyhow, Malaysia is not like Singapore. Singapore has huge foreigners investing into Singapore, getting financing from the Singapore bank. Malaysian bank, not really. It is still more than 95% of the financing is actually by the Malaysian. But Iskandar Malaysia is otherwise. It's at 20-30% at least. It actually consists of foreigners. So first of all, when they see this, they are a bit afraid. Because they need to balance their book. They used to have 95% is Malaysian, suddenly 30-40% or 20-30% is coming from foreigners. So of course they put a precaution way to really stop lending. Not to say stop, but they slow down the lending in Iskandar Malaysia. That's number one from demographic point of view. Another geographical area point of view is you see the bank will not want to take risks on a certain location to be so huge in their balance sheet. Especially in the last few years, where there are many sales coming from Iskandar Malaysia, that's why that has also lopsided their balance sheet. Hence, banks are imposing rules on Iskandar Malaysia lending by way of, number one, they actually reduce the margin of financing, the maximum margin of financing for the locals buying in Iskandar Malaysia, as well as for foreigners buying in Iskandar Malaysia. Normally, they apply 5 to 10% reduction in maximum margin that they would like to offer to people buying in Iskandar Malaysia. That's number one. Number two, they are more picky in terms of empaneling a new project in Iskandar Malaysia. So you can see they are more open to Klang Valley, for example, but they are a lot more closed door in Iskandar Malaysia, where certain new project they may not want to even empanel. When they don't empanel, meaning they are not going to give out any financing to that project. So that is the second thing that they do. The third thing that they do is they also have a stricter rules on affordability calculation, which is the DSR cutoff. Right, normal cutoff for anyone, if your net income is above 5,000 per month, normal cutoff is about 70 to even 85%. But for Iskandar, they may have a capping of 40 to 60% only, be it to locals or even to foreigners. Foreigners might be even more stringent when it comes to Iskandar Malaysia. And number four, what they do is certain banks, they also impose a higher pricing, higher effective interest rates when you are taking financing from Iskandar property. Their bank will offer up to 5.25% versus normal pricing is about 4.4%. So those are the measures that the banks put in place in order to slow down, not to say they don't lend, they're still empaneling new projects in Iskandar Malaysia, but they are putting all these kind of restrictions to make it tougher for you, so that they in a way slow down their business in Iskandar Malaysia, because it's really huge business going to their balance sheet in the recent few years. So I think there's things that we need to know, and then the public need to know about what the banks are doing.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much.
I just want to add very quick things. Practically, what we talk is actually what you know already. We just short and talk here only. So the key thing, you must really know what's going on. Number one, when the Johor State Government stopped approving or accepting the applications for service apartment, don't forget about this. That means there was a temporary, until today, stop of approvals of since 1st Jan 2015 for new service apartment project to be approved. Actually, there's a shortage of supply. Don't forget about that. You get what I mean or not? We are talking about past history and the past things, but the current thing is that is the break there already. So that means there's lesser service apartment new approvals that was granted. Take note. Number two, whatever you invest and you buy now, I repeat again just now what I said is, it takes about 4, maybe sometimes if it's a mixed development, 4-5 years for it to be completed. So what you buy today is not tomorrow you get the key. Alright? Then of course you know some data where the experts were sharing that although whatever numbers that was approved, because non-landowner also submit GDO, Gate Development Order, then hoping got 随意 come developer buy high price and then now got stuck already. Like he owned the factory, he convert become a do development, etc. All that. So all these are approval, DO, development order, many are actually developed. Okay. So one more thing, as a developer, this is what I can share with you, that's why I'm on stage. Because we are the one that are talking to the bank very closely on bridging loan and also term loan to buy land. So yes, there is quite a serious, I use the word serious, break on approvals of granting term loan to buy land in Iskandar. Iskandar so big, 2-3 times of Singapore. Alright, so we're talking generally lah. If I go specific location, then I will share with you one-to-one or different forum. So there was this, so the number of approvals, for example, you mentioned Mumbai Bank, in 2015, the number of term loans and the bridging loans approved was less than 12. Versus the early years 30 to 45 per year. So you will see that actually in 2017, 18, 19 onwards, there's a big slowdown of new acquisition of land for development. Because the developer cannot get loans to buy the land. So how to go and proceed to build the land, the project? And earlier I mentioned my point one, the state government, because service apartment are under commercial title, where developer no need to build low cost, right? So there was a freeze, state government freeze. But on stage cannot say jury got some approval lah. So maybe there were some approvals lah. I also don't know, sorry, I'm not the authority. But very little, okay? Very little, okay? Maybe some of them sitting in this room also, the developer, okay? Then they got the approval very special one where your people, normal developers, small like us, are not rejected lah. So the service department So you really have to think very clearly What we were saying all this is what you have been reading already. But let me tell you from a developer perspective, it's very tough. So for us to acquire new land itself, not easy to get term loan to buy the land. It means a loan to buy the land. And even you get the loan, not easy to get the bridging loan approval, you know. Because I will say the brand, generally 50% of them already pull their handbrake already for the entire Iskandar. Good news to me lah, okay? Because you are actually recurbing and recontrolling the supply. The only thing, like I said just now, I feel very sad is those people who externally pandai bought 900 ringgit per square feet, for example lah, then you know lah, you have to ride through this tough period and all that. So that's the reality. The reality is, the moving forward itself, you see the Johor state government itself, how they deal with developers, to them they don't care about bank, don't care. So they do their own Johor below 150,000 you get affordable homes already. They tahan the bank until they come out with their own funding, 200-300 million to give loan direct to the low cost people. That means the affordable homes. Of course, affordable homes you have moratorium 5 years, 10 years after SPA you cannot sell. Or that, things like that lah. So not really that bad, there will be a few 100,000 of oversupply one. There won't be so many anyway. You stand there you see all the big top big developer in town in Johor now, also selling land. Developers sell land big deal, you know. Developers supposed to develop project. Developer got offer to another developer, I sell my land to you, can That means what? That means last time when the developer enter, no matter how they enter the plot of land, when they do their calculation, feasibility study, they intended to sell 1,002. Sorry, not so many Sui already. Now market say I can only accept 750 per square foot. And she's in 1,002. Alright, even 750 also 50% or 60% loan rejection, you know. Alright, so it's more realistic. So the good thing is you can continue shopping. Not to say be careful but you actually have more choices already. That's my take for Medini and Iskandar. So good luck to all those developers that sell premium or future pricing. Alright? Big developers in whole Malaysia that come to Johor, also so many of them don't dare to build high rise. You think long?
Wow. Okay. Can we sum up? So in a way, that means they could be short supply. There's still opportunity in Iskandar Medini, but be careful, do your own due diligence, right? Okay. So 我只是translate 这个就是说，其实还是有机会，因为政府已经停止了批准很多高楼的 service apartment， 就是服务性的公寓。那么其实可能再过几年，其实有一个叫做什么应不什么求就是可能供不应求的情形会出现，但是你要买什么也是还是要做好自己的 due diligence 审查的工作。 OK， 非常的好 ，Thank you very much.
Liz, can I say something in closing?
Wow,
Gen
wow,
Y,
very
Please,
hot, huh?
please clear your PTPTN loan, okay? Your loan must pay.
Oh yes, the study loan, huh?
Yes,
Yes, otherwise cannot get loan, huh?
Yes.
Yes, correct. Yes. That is the advice to Gen Y. Yes. What? Pay extra bill. Hey, you shareholder of Astro again? Singapore, I see. Wow, really, huh? Like that, huh? Wow. Okay. Okay, very good. So with that, we thank you big thank you to our panelists. Yes, I think that concludes our learning session. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was a very intensive discussion.